The House approved emergency funding overnight to address the humanitarian crisis at the border. Now, this follows another Homeland Security shakeup. Mark Morgan, acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, will take over as acting chief of Customs and Border Protection next month, after John Sanders resigned unexpectedly yesterday. As head of ICE, Morgan has pushed for nationwide raids on undocumented migrant families. Jeff Pegues spoke with him yesterday before the shakeup. Jeff is outside the ICE headquarters in Washington. I know, Jeff, you wish that news would have broken before you did this interview. But what did Morgan have to say about conditions at the facilities?
Well, good morning, Gayle. Mark Morgan denies that there are systemic problems inside these border detention facilities. However, he did admit that migrant children should not be held there.
Border Patrol is not a place for the kids. I think every American can agree with that. They are overcrowded. Those Border Patrol stations are not designed for kids.
ICE has taken in more than 400,000 migrants so far this year, which has overwhelmed U.S. border facilities. About 1,000 unaccompanied migrant children are currently in CBP custody. Would you want your family there?
I would never want my family to be detained.
Any family you know in a facility like that?
Just like I don't think anybody would want any of their family members being in a police station. So the best way to not to be in that detention facility is don't come to our country illegally.
Morgan disputes aspects of a recent DHS Inspector General's report, which cites egregious violations at some detention facilities.
I just don't agree that it's egregious conditions like a systemic problem.
What word would you use?
I would say that there are always challenges. I welcome non-governmental organizations to come in and do a check and balance. We should always try to get better.
It's estimated that
President Trump yesterday said that he is very concerned about poor border facility conditions, once again claiming without evidence that it's an improvement from his predecessor.
Just remember, we are treating them and doing a much better job than the Obama administration.
But it was because of President Trump's zero-tolerance policy last year that thousands of migrant children were systematically separated from their parents. And now, amid an unprecedented surge of migrants, DHS and CBP have been without a permanent leader for more than 2 months. For ICE, it's been nearly 2.5 years. Yet the Trump administration blames deplorable detention center conditions on a lack of money from Congress.
Mexico is doing much more for us than, frankly, the Democrats in Congress. But as we mentioned last night, House Democrats passed a $4.5 billion aid package that includes money for food, water, sanitary items, and services for migrants. The bill also contains, though, restrictions on how that money is spent and includes no funding for the border wall. The White House says President Trump will veto that bill. Meanwhile, the Republicans in the Senate are working on their own version of a $4.5 billion aid bill with fewer restrictions, though. Tony.
Jeff Pegues for us. Jeff, thank you very much.